Hi, Nicole. How are you?
Hi, Sean. How are you? I'm good.
Good. It's great to have you here, and thank you so much for taking your time to share some of your experiences in the program. And do you want to share a little bit about what you do and where you're from?
Sure. Yeah. I am a speech pathologist. I am based in New York City. I have been a therapist for just about 10 years, and I've been in private practice for four and a half. It'll be five this June.
Okay. And what was your practice like before you joined the program?
So before I joined the program, it was myself for the first 4 years, and then I hired my first therapist like 2 months before I joined the program.
Mhm.
And now it is myself, and I have five therapists that are
Oh,
working
wow.
for me. Yes, it's been a wild ride, but it's been wonderful to kind of see the growth and the need, and now I'm able to meet more of the need, kind of working a little less myself.
Hmm. And you only joined the program like what, like 8, 9 months ago?
I was saying I think it was April that
April.
I
What are
took
we
the
in November?
plunge.
Oh, so like 7, 8 months ago.
Yep.
Wow, that's massive
Mhm.
growth. And so what made you choose the program?
So initially, I had taken your free accelerator, the 5 day or four
Mhm.
day program that you put on, and so many of the topics that you worked through, I was like, "That's me. That's me. That's me." It really resonated with me and my practice. Um, and I wanted, I felt like my practice was doing well, but I was always questioning what's the right marketing tool. I was spending hours on like Vistaprint.com to make
Yeah.
flyers and just very far out of my scope. I am not close to a graphic designer or anything that entails. My website needed a lot of work, but I just had bigger goals, for my practice. And I said, after doing that first, few days, I said, okay, I think this would really be for me. I wanted to make sure with the commitment, financial commitment, that it would be kind of what I was really looking for.
Yeah. And did you have any reservations or fears before you joined?
I was nervous. It's funny to say that
Everybody
now.
says that. Everybody says
But
that.
I'll Yeah, no, it's so funny. I think I thought it was going to be a really big time commitment. When I joined, I was engaged, planning a summer wedding,
Mhm.
and I kept putting it off mentally. I was like, "Oh, I'll do this after the wedding. Oh, I'll do this, after the honeymoon." But then after we spoke, it was kind of like, just do it now. Get the ball rolling. You can always put something off.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful I took that advice, because I was nervous financially just because we were planning this wedding.
Mm.
But in one of the first exercises we did, when it was like, how many clients would you have to see to get the payback? It was so eye opening. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I hem and hawed over this. I think it was like five clients.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, this was almost a no brainer once it was broken down like that. But
Yeah.
initially, it was hard to invest in
Yeah.
myself
Yeah.
that way.
It is. It is. I think as women, we find it harder too.
Definitely.
And so you had that one therapist who I assume that you filled up, and that's why you've taken on more. What has been the impact
Yes.
of the program on your caseload across the practice?
So across the practice, yes. So I initially, when I first started, I provide home-based therapy. So I was kind of bouncing all over the place.
I
I
remember.
was in Brooklyn one day. Yes, I was on the Upper East Side one day. Some days I was in five different places, and I was definitely exhausted. I've now pinpointed kind of where I'm going to be. And on certain days, I'm still moving, but I'm definitely staying in one place versus driving myself a little crazy.
Mm.
And the women that I've actually, my practice is all female. So the girls that work for me now, one's out on Long Island, one is taking downtown kids. So it's kind of been more geographical, but
Yeah.
we've definitely had a steady flow of referrals, which has
Mm.
been wonderful. And that's actually how I kept adding people on, just because somebody took the number they wanted, and then the next person took the number they wanted. I have yet to hire my full time employee, but I think that potentially is the next
Yeah.
move.
Yeah. And I think that geographical thing was more of a thing for you because, it's not easy to be moving, from Queens down to all the way through to Brooklyn and then, back to the upper west side of a day. So
Yes.
that was more of a thing, wasn't it, to get the geographical areas so that people were just working in one area.
Definitely. And I think it made it more organized too. In the
Mm,
beginning of my practice, because it was my livelihood, I just said yes to kind of anything. And I also think part of this program where we had to kind of highlight our ideal client, I think that really helped me because there was definitely times when, I said yes to a client, I started working with this client and I would dread going there because it was
yes.
just something that I had to prep for 2 hours before I went. I wanted to make sure it wasn't an area that I was super, super well versed in. So I
Yeah.
was reading just spending a lot of time for one session versus now I kind of feel like I have a better understanding of what our niche is. And then if another referral comes in, I have people and colleagues that I refer to
Mm,
just to kind of say, this is kind of your wheelhouse, go for it.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's great.
and that's definitely helped too, just in terms of kind of making a name for my practice with what we specialize in.
And it's easier to make that name when you just do one thing, right? People get to know what you do.
Yes.
So what's been the
It
impact
becomes
on
easier to
your
talk about too.
It does. What's been the impact on your revenue in that time, in the last 6 to 8 months?
Yes. So my revenue, I actually looked right before we hopped on this call. So my revenue, I had just teetered over 6 figures last year, which
Yeah.
was super exciting for me. That was like my goal. And now I'm closer to teetering over the 200,000 mark, which is amazing.
Wow.
So in that year time, I'm close to double. My goal was to double, and it felt like a very far fetched goal, but in the
Yeah.
program, it was kind of like dream big. So I said,
Yeah.
okay, let me just put the number and then my 5 year number. It felt, way out there. But yes, I'm kind of competitive with myself and, December 31st approaching. I'm like, we're going to get there.
You are going to get there. That's amazing though. You've doubled your revenue. Do you think that would have been possible without the program?
I don't think I would have had as clear of a vision without the program. And I've been able to make new referral connections with that vision.
Mm,
I was doing a lot of the things that I'm still doing, emailing preschools and emailing pediatricians and talking to different colleagues, but it took me a level deeper of people I hadn't thought to tap into.
mm,
And I definitely think I learned more about the way to communicate about my practice.
yes.
One thing that definitely 100%, one of the first things we spoke about, I was definitely the male marketer. I talked about myself and I sold my practice and how many years of experience I have. I'm trained in this versus making it, how can we help you?
Yeah.
The goal is always the same. We want to help you or help your child. But I think when I first entered the course, that was the way I thought I was selling myself appropriately in
Mm,
selling the practice when it really wasn't doing the practice much justice. Now I'm able to kind of explain how we can help versus tell people what I do.
and I think
Because a lot
people
of
can.
times,
Sorry, you go.
no, I was just saying a lot of times the parent I was speaking to had no idea what prompt trained meant.
Yeah.
When the parent was able to tell me, my child can't say this, 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 then I was able to say, oh, well, we can help you with that.
Yeah. And I was just going to say that allows people to make a connection more easily to you than it does when, like you would, exactly like you just said, if they don't understand, we assume they understand what we're saying, but if they don't know what that means, it's just noise. Whereas if you can show them that
100%.
you care and can help, then that's more meaningful for them. So what
Yes.
impact has completing the program had on you personally? You just touched on it a bit then, that you feel more confident in how you talk about your practice. Anything else?
I will say that I think I've connected with more people about my practice, even people close in my life that I never really spoke to about what I did for work.
Mm,
I find that like word of mouth, that 250 list that we made, where you have to really talk to hit all these different
yeah.
people and explain what you do, and conversation, an everyday conversation. Um, it feels more natural. In the beginning before this course, it felt very salesy for me,
Yeah.
and I don't like that. I don't like to kind
No.
of be like, "Hey, guess what I do?" That's not me at all.
No.
Where now when it's more of a conversation, if someone's talking at Thanksgiving about their child who won't eat anything, I'm like, "Oh," and I'm able to kind of tie in feeding therapy. So
Mm.
it's kind of just opened my eyes more to how to have casual conversations while
Yeah.
still like putting a plug in there of what we do and how we can help.
Great. And what would you say to someone thinking about joining the program?
Yeah, I would say I hope that the beginning of this someone heard it, because I definitely, my biggest concern or my biggest question mark was, one, would it be worth the financial commitment? And then two, would I have the time to do it? And would it be something that I could really dive in? How long would it take? And I'll say the each activity we did, um, it was it didn't take as much time as I thought it would. It
Mm.
definitely was something where I honed in and I focused, and it was quick. It was
Yeah.
easy. A lot of it was work in the sense of really having to think about what I wanted my practice to be, but now there's such a clear vision and the goal is so clear. I don't know that I necessarily had pinpointed goals before. It
Yeah.
was just, this is what I do for work. Now it's, I'm striving to something. I feel much more structure.
Yeah.
So I think if it's someone that's looking for structure, looking for ways to connect with other professionals, looking for ways to obtain referrals,
Yeah.
and learn about how to really market their practice, I definitely would say don't hold back. Go for it.
Oh, I
It
love that.
works.
Thank you. And what has been your biggest takeaway from the program?
I think my biggest takeaway is to kind of be proud of the practice that I'm currently building. I'm learning every day, and I have really also by women that I took the program with, it's
Mm.
been so eye-opening to meet other people, see how other people just like kind of struggle. What do I do? I got this weird email. How do I respond? It was a really nice network of
Yeah.
people to bounce ideas off of, not having to have the answer, and having a network to kind of be like, here's what I was going to put on my website. Does this sound okay?
Yeah.
Or is this
Yeah.
not, can someone help me?
Yeah.
It was really nice to have that. And I'll say, I think, again, the way I'm able to converse about my practice now, and when I meet a new referral source, the way I'm able to kind of pinpoint through the templates that you gave, it was
Mm.
those templates that really helped me of, here's what the person wants. Here's how you can help them. I had all those tools, but I never knew how to use them, truthfully.
Yeah.
So I think it was eye opening to see, oh, this is how you do it. And
Yeah.
then to see it work, that was
Yeah.
really important.
Yeah. Um, what was your favorite thing about the program? If you picked one thing.
If I had to pick one thing, favorite thing, I think it's made me a more confident clinician. I will say
Hmm.
that. I think it's made me more confident as a business owner,
Yeah.
even in terms of like setting my rate in a certain way.
Hmm.
Looking at other females in my career and kind of seeing the path that I'm choosing, hiring new therapists and being a source of revenue for other people.
Yeah.
I think that that's been really rewarding, and it's allowed me to take more of a leadership role. And I've been able to lessen my personal caseload. Before, I was kind of burning at both ends in terms of seeing 35 cases a week and trying to do marketing and trying to
Yeah.
answer emails and write reports. And now I kind of feel like I've found my sweet spot of where my limit is in terms of like my
Mm.
treatment hours and my admin hours. And I'm able to block that off because of this, and, having that revenue from the people that
Yeah. The
now are
ladies are
part of
working for
Speech
you.
Rise.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Anything else you want to
Yeah.
add?
It's been great. I just want to say thank you. Thank you
Oh,
so much. No, I know it's something that, again, investing in myself has never been something I'm good at. I'm like a discount shopper, all those things. It's not easy to reward myself or treat myself. And I think, again, in private practice, there are so many unknowns, and you are in this alone. And in the beginning,
Mm. Yeah.
when I first started my private practice, it was just me. And I would say, oh, I really wish I had someone to bounce this idea off of or ask this question. So I'm just grateful to you and your team and the network that you've built, because I do feel like that has been just, I feel fortunate that I've been able to, kind of bounce ideas off people and have that support.
Oh, I'm grateful that I've been able to offer you that opportunity and that
Yeah.
it's paid such huge dividends for your hard work.
Yes, it's been wonderful to see. I'm now I have my eye on the 3-year goal.
And they'll probably
It's
come
lit
in the
that
next
fire.
year.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Well, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your experiences, Nicole. I really appreciate it. And I'm sure people watching back will too. Thank
Oh, I
you.
hope so. You got it. Thank you.